These things.
All right. So this morning, just to get things started, the first thing is we're looking to add another member to our board. So with Gary resigning, and I guess we lost John this week, but Dave Wright come to us and wanted to know if he could help. And so we unanimously talked about it and talked with his experience on running the Derby and officiating those types of things. That's mainly what he's interested in. It's just helped to run the motorsport stuff in the grandstands. So anyway, your thoughts on that? My board voted unanimously in it, so here we are.
Well, we probably need to do this correctly from now on. And Leslie, correct me if I misspeak here, but normally for any of the boards we have around the county, including the Fair Board, need to put out a letter of interest either in newspaper, social media, someplace,
Okay.
that you're seeking a new board member.
Okay.
Once you gather up those applications or even inquiries, then the time, I believe, is to bring it to us, and we will review them and look them over and then make the choice.
Okay. That's interesting to know.
Well,
none of us really knew anything about that, I guess.
Yeah,
so
that's how it's supposed
that's
to
just
work.
okay. It's nice to know. But yeah, we can.
Is that not correct?
That is correct. I mean, that's how every other board is handled.
Okay.
And Scott's done extensive research in regards to Fair Board and how it has and has not been handled in the past. But I think we need to make it clear from this point forward that this truly is the process, because there could be others in the community who are interested in the position and just don't know that there is this opportunity. So it's better to get the word out, get some names, and then come to the board. I mean, it can be done with the recommendation of the Fair Board. However, the final decision lies with the board. The
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So why don't we backtrack just a little bit?
Okay.
If you guys can do that, at least make it known that you're seeking a new member
Okay.
for the board, Fair Board, and
We need two of them.
Yeah, we actually I think have room for 3 right now. But,
how many
so-
do you have sitting on your board?
We've got 12, I think, is our current number. I'm trying to remember. I think 12 was including John, so I think now we're down to 11. And
Do we have any idea through a charter or anything else how many board members you should have?
typically, from what I've been told, is it's 5 per district, and so it's a total of 15. And then in several years past, it's hard to get them in these exact districts, so we just take whoever we can get. So
Do them at large.
But yeah, so it's 15 total. Is how it's been handled.
Can we do just a little research on that? Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
I think Scott did poll. You went through back in December
Yeah.
and tried to get all of that information.
My roster, I don't think it's in my
Well,
in this
anyway,
book, but I think it's
That's
11
already,
is our
that's,
current number.
that's
I
already
think.
under the bridge. So,
Yep.
so if you're looking for 2 positions, make that clear in your notice that you are looking for 2,
Okay.
and to have at least a letter of interest. I don't know if we're looking for a resume of sorts,
Right.
but at least a letter of interest, and then
Okay.
they can state in there what they have to offer to enhance the board,
Okay.
and then bring those names to us, and then we'll sit back and look them over and
Okay.
make the appointments.
We can do that.
Okay.
It's not no trouble there. Just,
Well, I think you guys just kind of slid under the radar for a few years and somehow, and
yeah.
not saying that you guys did anything wrong or bad. It was just, I think from this point forward, we need
That's the way you want to handle it.
to do it correctly,
Okay.
because that's how we handle every other board.
Okay. No, that's
Whether
fair.
it be the airport board or
Yep.
public building commission, that's how we do theirs.
Okay. Yeah, that's no trouble.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess we just didn't
I know.
understand
I
that's the way
think
it was
it's just
supposed to have been.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that either. Till
Maybe just to make it clear, I think for hopefully the next meeting, maybe we ought to pass a resolution in regards to the Fair Board and appointment of members and how many members should be appointed. So Corey, if you want to let me know what the board thinks in regards to that and how many members they feel would be appropriate. Because I was just looking through some of the information that Scott had provided me. And in 1975, the minutes stated by resolution that the Fair Board would have 5 members from each commissioner district. That's 15 people. So
Wow.
in any event, if you guys want to meet and come up with a number that you are comfortable with,
Okay.
I would be willing to go ahead and draft a resolution or whatever is necessary so that we can have it clarified in regards to how it should work. Because as Terry said, you guys have done nothing wrong. It's just it was never made clear how this was supposed to work.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, no big thing.
All right, great.
All
Thank
right.
you.
And secondly, this is something I don't think any of you all have ever seen, but with our new treasurer, Roger Swigert's our treasurer now, and so he's taken the time to put together an actual report there of our expenses and income of last year. That's something I've been wanting to do for the last couple of years, and now that we got him around and dedicated the time to do it, it's worked pretty well. So this way you guys can see last year where we actually were financially. That's a pretty good breakdown of all things in and out. So,
Well, I'm trying to find your line item budget right now.
this is just kind of a guideline so you guys can see where we're at and what it takes. And like I said, this is something I've wanted to do for a few years now. And
Well,
I
it's
think
only-
Roger's doing a really fine job
Sure.
in that treasurer job, and that's something that hasn't really had the attention it's needed in the history of this board. So I think this will really help let everybody understand where we're at. It's not so in the dark like it has been before. But
Well, that's one of the things we're working hard on, is trying to
Yep.
make things more transparent
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
everybody
yep.
to know where the money is actually going.
Yep. This helps people understand, what's coming in and what's going out, what it actually takes to put this thing together.
Yeah.
It surprised me, honestly, to see these numbers so high, because you just wouldn't think there's that much into it, but when you add everything up, it really does add up. But like I said, we just haven't been able to put one of these together, and this year Roger finally had the time to do it, and he put her together, and this is real helpful.
Well, good. Thank him for us.
Sure will.
I don't know why, for some reason, I'm not finding your budget. Do you know how much?
It's listed there for last year anyhow. In 2017, we got from you 19,980, and then there's that $2,220 last year that this apparently was for a repayment on some insurance thing that everybody was a little confused about that, and I think that's what we decided it was.
Okay.
So
So bottom line is you're $1,514 in the red.
on last year,
On
yes.
last year's
And
budget.
that's, we did a big project with that restroom build, and that thing come in a little over budget, and that's the majority of the reason why that's over there. But that is something that moving forward we would like to do every year. We would sure like to be able to put that kind of money into something down there to improve and repair things. And
Sure.
as you see,
No, I'm a little concerned, I guess, I don't know if I'm concerned, but I was on the fair board for years and we always got 1 mil. I don't know when they cut that back, but that's about a half a mil.
About half of what, yeah, that is about a half a mil. There was
And
one
It
year,
wasn't, a few years ago, they were getting a mil.
well,
And that would make things a lot
easier to
easier
maintain
to
things for sure.
maintain.
we talked about this before. In 2015, they received $47,433.
Payment on the building down there, the
That was a special thing.
paying back Wheeler Equity.
So for the last 2 years, it's been $2,200 or $22,200.
So just the last 2 years, we went to a half mil.
Well, I don't know what it was before 15.
I went back, it's pretty much from 2000 I looked, I believe, and it's been the same. It hasn't gone up or.
Well, actually, I think we've talked about this in the past, we're not opposed to raising your budget. We're really not. Give us a chance to get a little closer to the time that we start working on a budget.
Absolutely.
Which
We
is usually
just-
May, June, July.
Yeah, this is really just so you can see where we're at, so you
Right,
can see
and-
what we're working with, and
And we kind of
And
knew
understanding.
that. We did. But gets closer to time we're working on a budget, we'll see what we can do.
okay, yeah, that's all we can
Maybe-
ask.
Maybe we can increase that before the fair time and
Okay, that'd be helpful. I think moving forward, I mean, we're basing this year's budget off of what we did last year, so we get
Right.
a real close ballpark. But
you're
this
gonna
year
be tight
we're-
no matter what.
It's going to be tight. Period.
Yeah.
We thankfully got that donation last year from Bill and Cindy Keller that helped really save us, but because that covered what we were over on our budget on that bathroom stuff, and
That special alcohol tax, you did some research into that, where and how that could be used, because it says in there for recreation and parks and recreation, I believe. I wonder if that would apply to the fairgrounds.
I'd have to ask, but I think it could. I'd want to clear it with the auditors first.
Yeah.
But it would seem that, with Parks and Recreation and the intent behind the research that I had done, that this probably would be something
I think
that
that's
could
something
qualify.
I think that's something we can look at. Because there's a little over $8,000 in that fund. Anyway, we'll work
okay,
on it.
no, that's good. But anyway, yeah, just moving forward, we have booked a different band this year for our Friday night deal, and they're coming out of Houston this year, so it's going to cost us a little bit more.
For travel.
So,
Well, hopefully, if you can get out there and advertise and
yep,
and
we're
let
feeling
people
pretty
know.
good about it anyway. They're a little bit better known, and they're recording now in Nashville, recording an album, and so
Well, every
hopefully
band
that's
has
going to help. And
every band has some YouTube
Oh, yeah.
clips and,
Yep.
and stuff. If you
Yep.
get their name out there early enough, people can.
yep, and that's the thing with this band; they actually do a lot of advertising on their own. That once we've booked them, they're going to start playing commercials like through Pandora Radio and stuff like
Right.
that, advertising that they are playing in St. Francis on the 3rd of August and that kind of thing. So
Good.
advertising this year ought to go a lot better than it had. That ought to help a lot. But anyway, just so you know, things are going to be tight, but this year I think we're going to make her work. And but if we can try to make things better for 2018, that's really all we're asking.
We'll do everything in our power to help you in that aspect.
Yep.
Because we want to see this fair survive and thrive.
Absolutely. So, anyway, that's pretty much all I had, unless you guys got some deeper questions or anything.
No, but we'll be back in contact with you. We'll do
Okay.
a little research, and we'll, if you would like to discuss with Leslie what and how you should put your advertisement out,
Okay.
and
We've got our board meeting is tomorrow night, so we'll have the group together to talk about it and stuff. So if
Yeah,
I need to
it-
talk to you ahead of then or whatever, just let me know.
and to reiterate, make sure you let them know that we're not saying we've done anything incorrectly.
Okay.
We just need to get back into the correct way of doing things.
Absolutely.
I think there was a period there where they couldn't get anybody on, and they just
Yeah,
did what they could.
we
to
struggled
get-
for a couple of years to try
Well,
to get anybody to help.
I understand
and so-
this, trying to get members at large versus trying to take 5 out of each district, that's hard.
Yep, it's really
So,
difficult.
That's a pretty good idea, I don't mind that, as long as, you've got it in your minutes somewhere that this is how you decided to do it,
Okay.
that ought to work fine.
All right.
Okay,
Cool.
thank you, Troy.
You bet. Thank you, guys.
Troy, do you want to meet with me Friday morning at 8? Could you do that?
I could probably make that work.
Okay,
If that'd work.
all right.
Find that.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you, guys. 8 o'clock in your office?
Yeah, just down the street.
That'll work.
All right, thanks, Troy.
Okay, good morning, Dave.
Good morning.
I think we're ready for you.
Are you ready? To y'all, how are you? Of course, it's about the airport. We've got a lot going on. We've, done a lot of improvements. The last one was we were able to get a grant through the Hanson Foundation to pay for most of the self-propelled mower, which, the check has already been cut on that and everything. The one question I had on that, of course, that's county property. Does that need to be listed for insurance on, give the serial number and everything to someone to be listed individually, or is there a blanket coverage that covers the mower?
Send that to me,
Yeah.
I'll get it listed.
Okay. I'll
Yeah.
send you the serial number and the model and everything. And
The old insurance just kind of had vehicles.
Right.
But K-Camp wants
okay,
individual
that kind of
vehicles.
just hit me, and I wanted to make sure that that's covered in case something should go on with it. So, the next item is the new ramp area and taxiway. I'll give you each picture of the final plan. Of how that's to go. Now, the ramp area that's currently up there, the FAA wouldn't allow us to go as large as what it is right now. So that's actually going to get cut back in size, but they allowed the same amount of concrete, so we're able to take and make a taxiway with the rest of the concrete. So,
And that's
there's-
your yellow part here.
right. So what the plan is, Devin's planning the hangar there, south of the fence there area, or just to the east of that, the new taxiway. And, there's plans for more hangars that's, not going to happen right away.
Right.
But we are going to run out of concrete for the taxiway, but Devin's going to be all right with that as long as he can, get to the taxiway until we can get it concreted.
Okay.
So that's the, so that how that the taxiway and the plans are going there. And this is all in accordance with, approved with the FAA and with Olson Associates and everything. So now the main problem that we've got is to get to Devin's
Access.
proposed hangar. And so I wanted you to see this to where the hangar's going to be at. Oops, excuse me. And so then, we've gotten Dave Fleming involved in this, and so we've got to have access to get to Devin's hangar. Really, the whole layout of the airport in years past wasn't exactly perfect, but it was satisfactory with the traffic that we had at the time. With the new longer runway and a lot more refined and accessible for aircraft. With the new hangars, we need a way to get to the area there for trucks, delivery trucks, for chemical, for diesel fuel, that isn't going to, destroy the existing roads that we've got. So,
Or drive by the Good Samaritan Village, right?
That's what we kind of want to avoid if we can.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
And I agree with that.
Yep.
so I think the best plan is to come up from College Street, and Dave has talked to Judy, and she is in favor of going ahead and putting a road
Through the west side of her existing clinic.
right, and then coming straight off the highway and coming right down the property line, which would be really, really handy.
Is that a feasible plan?
Yeah, I think that she seemed to be somewhat agreeable. A fence will have to be moved, things like that, some culverts, some drainage issues we have to deal with.
Yeah. Well, we'll probably need to, is it any of it on her property? I mean, her proper property?
Yes.
Will we have to, what am I trying to say? We'll have to have some sort of agreement with her
Right.
before we can go
Easement
forward.
or.
Yeah, an easement,
or
right away, something.
Yeah, something,
Before we can even get started on that.
right.
Compensation?
Yeah. See, that leads into other problems.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to take a little while. You know, I mean, I'd like to see us, you know, get right on it as providing that you guys approve to do this. But to do all of that is going to take a while. We're going to need to get there sooner than that too. I mean, we're going to need to have access there. As soon as the hangar's built, Devon's going to want to use it, and there's no way to get there.
Yeah.
So the other thing, what we're thinking, and if I'm right, Dave, is to come off of the, let's see, what's the name of that street? Dennison. Come off of Dennison Street here and go just, I think it's just to the north of the current asphalt on the south side of the village, right?
Just the south side, line it up there, yeah.
Right, and that's actually city property that the city is in favor of going ahead and let us put a road down there. So coming off of Dennison, going to the east, straight down the property line, then coming south. So then if we can put the road down, you know, past Judy's, it'll all tie right into what we're trying to do here.
You know, connect back to the current airport.
So you're talking about coming down here, correct?
No, coming right off of here. So we would come up Dennison, past the village.
Okay, past the village.
Yeah.
You know.
And this might not need to be used for too long a period of time. If we can get this other road in and,
Well, I think we need to start with Judy and then start looking at cost, how much this thing would cost to. Yes, Robert?
I just wanted to clarify. You said on an email, it said, what I thought you said was the city said that they didn't have any real interest in opening that street up, and that if it was opened up, they would want somebody else to pay the maintenance. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Just so you guys know, that's what they said the city stand was.
All the streets on the, around the Good Samaritan and stuff like that, they don't maintain at all,
Right.
so.
and I think if a guy went down that current asphalt road, it's not in very good shape anyway. You start running a truck down there, that thing's gonna fall apart in a hurry. So that's why if we went to the south side of that, and,
Or add widen it if nothing else, so.
yeah, well, yeah,
Okay.
You don't want to make this asphalt or just gravel road back in there.
Just grab.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. And then you had a comment about some asphalt millings.
Asphalt
that-
millings is what.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that we already
that
have.
just crossed that mind. We've
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
tons of it.
Well, that's probably a good idea, because then all you gotta do if you wanted an asphalt road is just put a tack seal and a few more millings on there.
Yeah. Yep. So we
Then-
already have the millings.
Then later on, you know, if it was needed, I mean, this could be asphalted later on, but I don't think that's not an immediate plan right there for now.
What is your timeline?
As long as we can get a lease and everything squared, if we can get the airport side squared away, I'm looking at, the taxiway won't be done until July, so anywhere between July and early fall.
To start your hangar project?
Yep, yep.
Yeah, they plan on starting, you know, the apron and the taxiway in June.
And then we were gonna, Spore's doing the dirt work, and so we were gonna try to tie in the dirt work for my building when they do that, late May, early June, if we've got all the airport plans in line.
Well, got any discussion? I'm really not opposed to either one of the plans, as long as the cost is something we can absorb and we keep our neighbors and the other landowners satisfied.
Right.
But we really need to talk to Judy and get her input on exactly
Right.
her standing and what she expects and doesn't expect. And
Can we talk to the city and get this planned here? Because that's still gonna take, I mean,
Yeah.
Devin's talking, September, October.
yeah, I
By
think
the
we need
time-
to, let's get in and visit with the city
Okay,
and see if they're opposed to it or support it or
okay.
what their thoughts are. Because you say that is city property. That's
Yeah, I
a
believe
city
that's
road.
right.
Yeah, definitely need to get them involved with, and that can also be a short-term fix, correct?
Yeah.
While
yeah,
we're waiting
that's-
on the
While we're
Judy's
planning her,
property.
yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
That makes sense to me.
yeah. Because this is gonna take some extensive dirt work right here because, right from, the end of the red line there, that does fall off quite a bit. It's pretty steep right there, so it's gonna take, some dirt work to make that accessible.
Okay.
But we really, those are the only options that we really have to access that. And I mean, well, not really. I mean, there's some other curved roads a guy could do or whatever, but
If you come in from behind the EMS building and try to go, yeah, that would,
And there's a big square lease right here where there's no buildings, but we kind of got to jog around that anyways. So that's kind of how our road would end up.
Have you been up there, Dave, and looked, how much dirt are we gonna move?
It'd take quite a little, it'd take more work to get this one done, but with the trouble with that east driveway, like we was proposing on this Lorraine Street, there was a gas line that was maybe iffy there. And then we're also questioning how close to this grass runway is on this corner, whether that was acceptable or not.
and I just sent off an email on that to
Okay.
her to find out just this morning, so I hadn't done that till now, so.
So if everyone's in favor, I think next step is we need to get engineering bids. We have just got an estimate of what it's gonna do to get the right-of-way description and everything laid out on this property here, and also be able to survey the airport hangars. So we move forward with that and get our estimates there and then
yeah, that makes sense.
go from there.
That makes sense. Well, I think for the short term, I'm not opposed to coming there on the south side of the village and doing that work for this point in time.
Okay.
So do you want to, let's see, how are we gonna know for you, like budgeting, like for culverts, for, cost of dirt work or whatever? I'm not sure how you do that.
Well, as Dave said, we're going to have some more accurate bids and cost evaluations. Yeah. Jeez.
As far as that, you're not gonna know till you get what the engineers recommend. I mean, as far as your
Yeah.
culverts and what have you, so, I mean, how many are we gonna need, where do they need to be
Right.
at, and all that, so.
But if your question is how we're going to absorb that cost, we're not real sure either,
Yeah,
to be completely honest
Sure.
with you. That's just something we'll have to research a little bit once
Okay.
we get some numbers in mind.
okay, we'll get some numbers and, until then, we'll just, plan on an okay, providing the numbers work out.
I think that's about the best we can offer you this morning.
Sure.
So what's this proposed access road on this street here?
That was what we were originally talking about, where we'd come off of the current access to the airport and kind of go around Grace Flying Services hangar, and then so there's this dashed line that depicts a current lease that's been on the airport for several years that Grace has leased for future development. So that was just a rough sketch of getting around to the hangars.
Yeah.
So, and then
So you don't like that idea?
there's a drainage ditch and then some equipment out there, and it's roughly the the same access that we're talking about here. This just kind of keeps everything in a straight line and kind of takes a little bit of the work out by using that oil road.
And most everything on there is on the city property too, which I don't know. It just kind of just tears up the property to make a road rather than have it in straight lines, and
Yeah, but it
looking
looks to
better.
me like it'd be a lot more cheaper. I mean, city's gonna let us use the property.
right.
We're gonna have to go pay damages, easements, move fences. But it looks like it could work. I don't know.
Well,
And-
basically, your curved road is still this access, right?
Yeah, that's basically the same thing as coming
Right.
behind the Good
Right.
Samaritan. We were kind of wanting to come off College for the future, so we could reroute traffic that's not coming through the Good Samaritan parking lot, kind of as they expand and get busier there, where we can keep truck traffic and people from driving directly
Right.
through their parking lot. So that was not just for the current hangars, but kind of a longer term solution for the airport.
And then if we had the road here, at the same time that the road's coming off of Denison, off to the east, then south, then when we are able to, like Devin said, come off of the highway, it'll be just a straight shot. It'll already be kind of in the plans. That was we've had about 3 or 4 meetings, or 2 or 3 meetings about this, and this is kind of the what we thought was the best, but we can, we'll do whatever you guys.
Hey, we're
Think is the
relying on
best.
you for the best information. I mean, as long as you're working closely with Dave and
I guess I was just looking at the dirt work side of it.
Yeah.
And you're
It's
right.
a lot more
Yep.
dirt work, what we're
Yep.
proposing here.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah, I guess it'd be a question of whether the county thought it was worth it to reroute traffic that wouldn't directly be impacting the Good Samaritan. That's our main goal.
I would like to get there too,
Yep.
especially with the new facilities going in. I think it would be
That's-
pretty important.
Yeah, that's why we researched another access,
But you still need something
so we can get there
before this materializes.
That's right.
Yep.
If it could be, up College Street there off the highway, if that could be done in, 6 months,
Sure.
we wouldn't even need to do this. But I don't
There
think.
again,
that
we
can-
got to do some more research into that.
Okay,
And just keep working close with Dave. He'll keep us informed.
okay,
And as far as the legalities of it, make sure you contact Leslie before
right, okay,
you start anything else.
yep,
As far as the airport lease, we just need to get the sites surveyed before we can get that. Once we get that done, we'll be on the right track.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely, because as Dave and I have been down this road numerous
Yes.
times, we have tried to come up with a way to get the leases done without having an official survey, and I just can't get there.
Okay.
That's
In
right.
my research, et cetera. I mean, if we're going to do this, I think we need to do it right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't been in the past.
Oh yeah. No,
So let's do it
needs to-
right
yeah.
and get
Yeah.
the correct leases so that everyone knows what they have. And, I don't know if there's going to be any financing or anything of that nature in anyone's future, but any lender is going to want to know what exactly are they getting a loan on. And so it's just easier to go ahead and do it this way. And I
Yeah.
appreciate the Airport Commission talking about it and looking for alternatives and getting this legal survey done. I really do appreciate
Right.
that.
Well, we've talked about it, and once this taxiway is staked out, we know that from the center of the taxiway to the front of Devon's building has got to be X amount of feet. So we can't really say survey it right now till we get the taxiway placed. Then we can bring a surveyor in, put stakes down, and we know exactly where we're at.
Perfect.
So then we'll be good.
Thank you.
That's where we're
Yeah.
at there. So,
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, sounds like we're going down the right road.
Okay.
Thank
We'll
you, guys.
go
Thank
from
you.
there. We'll keep you informed on.
We don't even know which road we're going down yet. We're gonna be going down the right road, and we don't know which.
I'll drive you around, Roger. You won't get lost.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. I'm going to go try that call again. They
Okay.
weren't there. So if you guys need me,
All right.
I'll be right back, or back as soon as I can.
It's quite a ways up.
Okay, Jeff, I think we're ready.
We don't have very good water pressure, no. We just, we don't see.
Morning, everybody.
Good
morning.
What'd you do, Jeff? Lose some rope on the highway the other day, or you just stop and pick some up?
I stopped and picked some up. I lost some yellow nylon rope at home. I don't know what happened to it. And I was looking for it, and then I found it there at the curb.
Saw
So,
some yellow nylon rope. It looked like you were carrying nylon, yellow rope anyway.
yeah, so, yeah. Well, I had a couple of issues on the agenda. You've seen that. Maybe we'll look at the grant needed for the nurse call system first. And so as I wrote in a short note that I'm willing to do that, and wouldn't be any charge for me to do that. I've been doing some background work with the electrical subcontractor to see what nurse call systems would be available, and he's been in touch with the manufacturer.
Okay, would you explain that a little bit to us, the nurse call system? What is that exactly?
Okay, so every bed has a button or a cord with it, and if the resident needs anything, they're supposed to push the button.
Right.
And that sounds a beep, and it also turns a light on in the hallway outside on the ceiling, so that the staff are alerted that the resident needs something. So,
Okay, does the
calls the nurse.
system need to be replaced or upgraded?
Well, the construction has provision for new nurse call system installation
In the
new
remodeled
rooms, in the 16 rooms.
Okay,
Also for the assisted living. But meanwhile, the existing nurse call system is very old, and it's hardwired, it's not wireless. And so it doesn't do any of the functions for tracking or trending for when call lights go on, how long it takes to answer call lights. And also those systems have a pager for the aides and nurses. So instead of having an audio alarm go off, they have pagers, and the pager sort of beeps in the pocket. And so it's not so disruptive to the indoor environment.
do you have some numbers on that, or are you looking for some
I'm-
bids now?
I'm waiting to get the numbers back in terms of what equipment and at what cost.
Okay,
So I'm happy to write that up, and it's a submission for Dane Hansen.
if you would.
So I just need the EIN number for the county as part of that application. I can get that from Scott. So if you're agreed, I'll just go ahead and do it. And I'll try to submit it by the end of March, because they look at submissions at the Dane Hansen at the end of the month.
Right,
And
yeah.
that's cutting it kind of close even, because they need to know.
That's why I started to say get started now, and
Yeah. So if you're good with that, we'll just make a notice of that in the record, and I'll go ahead. Okay. Then another issue is about financial reporting, inquiry that it seems like I never see financial reports every month from the hospital or EMS, but it's always appearing in the paper from when I report to you. So I guess I'm requesting that you standardize the reporting from your different agencies.
what we do, we get a detailed report from both. Paper we have no control over.
They report here?
We get most of our, Reed sends his electronically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hospital.
So is the hospital. It's the only difference.
And so when they're here meeting with you, are they verbalizing what they're reporting?
Yes, mostly.
Okay. There'd been also some invoices that went to Scott. And these are connected with the construction. There was red fire caulking because they destroyed a firewall in the attic on the west wing.
Fire
So
marshal demands that
it's
every
gotta
hole
be-
is caulked up,
yeah,
yeah.
it's- There can't be any penetrations that aren't sealed, so they put wires through there. And
Be careful with the caulk you buy. I ran into that problem at the hospital. The caulk that I was told was acceptable was not. So I actually called the fire marshal's office and said, what do you want?
Yeah, we've run into that before too.
And it took a long time before we found a vendor that could supply those as needed. But anyway,
Well, last time Heartland ended up ordering some of the proper stuff that they had at one time.
I think
A year ago.
I wound up going through Granger's or something, but
Yeah,
at a triple the cost.
yeah,
But
they get you. And then an invoice just came in, I hadn't sent it to Scott yet, from Heartland for that hot water system. And I know Hal Griffin had been around, and supposedly they found the problem in the mixers underneath the sinks, the hot and cold water mixers that are there so that the water doesn't get too hot. But that cold water was backflowing into the system, and therefore it didn't stay hot.
so but you've had those repaired?
Right now, those have just been taken out. But Hal's saying maybe we could put a check valve in there on the cold water line, that the cold water doesn't go the wrong direction.
That makes sense. That sounds like a simpler fix than
Uh,
what was proposed in the first place.
Yeah. And so, but anyway, now we have a hot water tank that wasn't there before. That's additional expense.
Bottom line is, did it solve the problem? Is our temps up there where we need them to be?
The hot water is compliant with its temperature. It's hot enough. But the water pressure, especially in the new bathroom, is not very high. It's weak. But the plumbers will be back anyway for other work, so we'll see if they can get that fixed.
Okay.
Some financial reports are there. Maybe one for Leslie.
And one more for Ed.
No, give three that direction, sorry. Still working on getting that figure down from 29,000. It's an improvement over December, but it's not where it needs to be, which is 0. We have now admitted an additional resident from 27, we now have 28. So that'll be a help.
Sure.
And Tennille's still working at, and we reduced the nursing hours from December to January, and she's still working on trying to get some additional hours cut back by creative staffing. So on evening shift, we don't have everybody working a full shift. I think 2 people work half a shift to cover the workload, and that seems to be working out.
Well, we appreciate every effort you can make to reduce those numbers.
Yeah, well, as I've said, I'm not happy with how that's looking, and I want to get.
Well, we hope this
down
time
the
next year, we've got a whole new outlook on everything.
Yeah. The apartments then, there's still one empty apartment, and there's someone that wants to take it, but they aren't ready, so I'm telling Sherry, just advertise it, we need to get somebody in there.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the Medicare figures there, I mean, that's a pretty hefty loss. That's per therapy resident per day. And that's because there's only been about 1 resident getting therapy, so all the costs for mileage and travel time, et cetera, pile up on just the 1 resident.
And those people come from where?
The therapists live in different places, Colby or Goodland, most of them.
But by the time you pay travel time and their wage and,
Yeah, we broke even when we had 3 residents on therapy. So that's kind of an impetus to try to work with the hospital and get them to service us. We only have 1 resident needing therapy. It's not like it's a huge workload for the hospital, but it's
Have you?
Kelly and I have discussed it, but haven't moved on it, and maybe you could
Well, it
encourage the
sounds to me
hospital
like
to look at that.
it's time to kind of push the issue a little bit.
Yeah, I think that'd be helpful.
Okay.
And so I'm willing to look at it and talk about it, and we'd still need to keep our therapy contractor for OT and speech therapy. But PT could be covered by the hospital, I would think. Just need to make an effort at it.
Are they down to 2 staff again in physical therapy, or that may be part of the holdup? Because I know they just lost another.
Yeah, they had a young guy.
Yeah.
He was seeing my son there from Goodland, and so he got an offer at Goodland Hospital, I think, and he lives in Goodland, so he went to work there.
Offered and offered and offered, finally got to where he
Couldn't resist it anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know where
They do have speech therapists available at the hospital too.
I think it's the same one we use. It's
Schultz?
Crystal Schultz. Yeah. She's hooked up with our contractor too for speech.
Okay.
But we don't use speech very often, hardly at all.
Well, we just need to keep that conversation going in the hospital.
Yeah. But it's $141 a day times 30 days. That adds up pretty quick in a month.
Make myself a note. Do you know when the next hospital board meeting is?
They just had one.
There's a ribbon cutting today. Where's that at?
I have no idea.
I have to call her. Anyway, I'm sorry, Jeff.
That's okay. I have nothing else
Okay,
for
well,
today.
thank you for keeping us abreast, and we're trying as hard as we can to treat everybody equally. We wanted better financial statements from everybody, because we truly just didn't know where we were at. I mean, so we're trying to be as fair as we possibly can be.
Okay, all right.
So thank you very much.
If you want the information sooner, I can email it to Scott. I mean, it's up to you.
However's convenient for you and Scott, you can work that out with him.
Yeah, it's whatever you want.
Because I always have the information by the 15th or 16th of the month. I don't report to the end of the month, so. All the same to you? Okay.
Yeah.
So this, and I'm probably just hadn't been changed, we don't have 40 senior apartments yet, do we? Did we, is that subtracting the 4 that we tore down?
No, unit 40, that's an accounting number. That doesn't mean 40 apartments.
40 apartments.
Yeah.
There were 9 there originally.
No, there were 13. Now there's 9.
Oh, yeah, with the 4 over there in the quadplex, I'm sorry.
Yeah, with the
But
4
in that
gone.
row over there, there was 9, and we took 4 out.
Yeah.
5 remaining.
Yeah. Down below, yeah, plus the 4 up, higher up, yeah. So,
All right.
okay then, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Jeff.
All right. Next time.
Good morning, Eddie. I think we're ready.
You ready?
Oh, you bet. If you're ready, we're ready.
I know the streets up there are a problem, and Hutton Construction has tried to keep all the trucks possible. You know, they've got signage. Construction trucks are supposed to go in that east side, but, you know, there's concrete trucks, there's things that have to go over there. So they're trying to protect that as much as possible, because I know it's fragile, for lack of a better word. So I know
Okay.
that's a problem. We've got weather delays that you're aware of. That crew has scooped a lot of snow out of that facility.
Thankfully.
Yeah, well, true. And so they've got some of the concrete footings done over on the long-term care section, and they should get most of the footings finished this week. And then before they do the concrete floor, they go in and get all the pipes, all the water, the electric, laid in that floor before they pour it. And so that takes time. And so we're looking probably at October now to have the assisted living going, and I've got a waiting list started, so if anybody wants to get on the waiting list, call me, 332-8450. 8450. That'd get rid of some of my phone calls. That'd help me with my idea. So that it's not a binding contract yet because we can't go there because we don't know who's going to be managing it, number one. And but it's we plan on it being similar to Wheat Ridge Acres and Goodland. You got to be competitive, and so that's what we're looking at. But it depends on the new management. And I don't know if that team has had a meeting yet.
We had one for the meeting, and
Okay.
we correspond
Good.
2-3 times a week.
Good. Because it needs to.
Yeah, we need to get going. That's a fact. Tom Keller's doing a great job of
Good.
overseeing that project, and I've been gone on and off for the last couple of weeks. So
Yeah, how was the cruise?
it's good. Wishing I was still there.
Yes. Tom does a lot of work for the community. He oversees quite a few.
He must spend a lot of time at his computer or his phone.
Yes.
'Cause
When you look at mine, I know.
I get a constant,
Yes.
throughout
Yes.
the day. We had a couple questions about this invoice. What do we do with it, Roger? There's
It's right on the list.
From Hutton.
one from Hutton and one from Grace.
It's the one from the engineering firm that I was,
Let's see.
that's we're not questioning, if you read it, there, somehow they went from a percentage to a fixed amount. And we didn't know if that's the same amount of money or if they've increased it or.
Well, he's under contract for a certain amount, and it's to be prorated out depending on how much work he does. See, some of these big amounts is when they were doing a lot of.
So it's not consistent.
No.
It's basically he's charging us for the work he does at the time.
As he goes.
Okay.
And so, see, those numbers are a lot lower now because he's, there's not a lot of stuff. There's still things he's got to do.
Sure.
Because they've got to send somebody down and okay the Hutton bill. So, they come down, he usually sends somebody down twice a month to be sure that, because they have to sign off on the Hutton bill. And that takes time because their bill is a big deal. And a lot of action, a lot of activity on that ledger sheet. And so they're overseeing that. They've got to monitor that, and they've got to sign off on it. Their signatures are on all the Hutton bills that they approve each month before they're paid.
It's a big process to get that paid.
Yeah. Yes.
I get the bills, I give them to Eddie. The engineer approves them, you approve them. Then I send it to the USDA, get their approval. Then it comes back, you guys approve it, and then I send it to the bank.
Yeah, the bank in Kansas City. So it's a 7-step process. But he's getting good at it.
I'm getting better at it.
Oh, good. Well, I guess what we need to do is make a motion to go ahead and approve these 2 invoices. One of them for Grace Team for $2,675. The other one to CGID LLC of North Platte, Nebraska. They're the engineers for $6,024.98. So I hear a motion to go ahead and approve these 2.
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor?
And I welcome those questions about this billing. Because I understand from your point of view, you need answers
They
sometimes.
just changed the way they billed.
Yeah.
They were billing by percent, and then they just went on
Yeah.
a amount.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like now he's just billing us for the work he actually does or the
Yeah.
time spent. Okay.
And of
I didn't
course,
see if those two sentences probably were.
I don't like to pay architectural fees. I'm allergic to them. But
Was there some for Hutton in there too?
Yeah, there was a page for that.
you were talking about the easements and stuff there. At some point, there was a strip of land with the village project, the county, that needed conveyed, just a narrow strip.
Right.
Has that been done, do you know?
No, it has not. But given all of this project and everything,
Maybe
it's
that
probably
will all
it's a good
happen
thing
at the
that we can
same
just do
time.
it all at once.
Good. That's been on my list because that's one of those things. It goes through all these things month after month, and then you think, well, it's done. And then 10 years from now, somebody will dig around and, well, why wasn't this filed? Why, you know?
Well,
So
I also discovered there needs to be a correction deed on when the Good Sam deeded the property to the county. Some footage was incorrect, and did some research, and the initial email that came out for the legal description was incorrect. So there's a correction deed. that needs to be done.
exciting, isn't it?
It is.
So that's, I've been wondering, that's been on my list of things to talk to you about, but I don't want to bother you because you're a busy lady, so.
Well, bother me.
But-
Just get in there with Jessica and get a time.
But, yeah, Benji, you were talking about and going to be redoing that area anyway, why, if you would see to it that that's, because like I say, those things fall through the cracks and then
They
it
do.
surfaces down the road, just like you found some items from
Okay.
who knows when.
Right.
And I did overlook this disbursement request to Hutton for $484,174.82. Need to make a motion to go ahead and approve that.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
And part of those large numbers there, this will make 1.5 million paid through them with this disbursement here. And part of that is the subcontractors are going ahead and ordering stuff in, so it's here. Because suppliers don't carry inventories
Yeah.
like they did 25 years ago. And, you know, so we're prepaying for some of that stuff that's stored up there, just so we're sure it's there when they need it, because you don't want to be waiting on parts and pieces, so,
Well, they're ready to go to work when they get here.
yeah.
If they don't have their stuff.
So if there's any other questions, why, and you can call me at any time also
Okay.
at 854.
You're just too late. It's coming out in the paper, buddy.
You're gonna have to get a new phone number
Yeah.
after this is over.
Well, yeah, but I certainly appreciate working with you guys and with Leslie and Scott, because Scott has quite a little stuff to keep track of too, but like I say, he's getting it all ironed out and it's going smoother, and all of a sudden we'll stand up and look around and we'll be done.
Yeah. I'm ready for that day.
Me too.
Yeah.
And you can quote that. All right, so if there's nothing else, well, I appreciate your
I
time.
don't think so, Eddie. Thank you.
All right.
So, Eddie, just thought about, so they come up with kind of what they think it's gonna cost to live?
Well, I hate to put a number out
Okay,
premature,
All right.
because I don't want a number going out that scares somebody if it isn't right. And, you know, just right now, I mean, number one, who manages it is got to be, I mean, that's not our job to set that price.
Which
And
I
so-
might let the board know, the task force has already met and is circulating emails in regards to consultants and new
Great.
members, and
Right.
it's going.
And there is some research out there on other facilities and what they've cost. I've seen it.
Good.
So we're going to have to stay competitive for sure.
Yeah, Got
And
to.
based on what the cost that I saw with the different facilities that they checked into, you're looking at upper fours, low fives.
And it's hard to compare apples and apples. This Mark Minenbach that's with Grace,
Yeah.
he had some time when he went home last time, and so he stopped as a secret shopper at Goodland and got some pricing. But see, there's a price here, and then there's an add-on, and for these different levels of care, and so you have to be careful, to be sure you're comparing the same thing, because that can make several $100 a month different. And so if you're not careful, that's why I just hesitate to put a number out.
Well,
I
and I agree with that, because like you said, that's going to be really up to the management group that takes it. Because they're
But
gonna have
under
to-
your watchful eyes, they've got to be competitive with
Yeah.
Wheat Ridge and Ray, and
Sure.
they just have to be.
Well, and for their business, they're business people, they're going to
Yeah.
understand that.
Yeah. So I hope you get a management firm figured out that's
Oh, I hope we do too. Working on it.
because that's a tough one.
Yeah.
You got your work cut out. There's no doubt about that. And I'm encouraged because we've got several people on a waiting list. Like I say, those are not a binding contract. We will have those available prior to the opening because we want to have people in place.
Well,
It's important that we start with,
I would love to see that place full when we open.
and that's not really my job, but nobody else was taking a reservation list, and Jeff didn't think it was his, so I'll do it because it's got to be done.
Yeah, well,
Got
thank you
to
for
be
that.
done. And so that's why I'm willing to, and see, that'll be that'll get out, and so that'll be some more. But I'm encouraged with the amount of interest we've had, so.
Good.
So I hope too that I've got it full for you, man. On day one, or day three, at least.
We'd like that too.
It's an important part of the overall success of it.
Well, that's what you're there for.
And I feel
That's the reason
some-
we built the thing.
I feel somewhat responsible for trying to fill it. It's not really under my list, but I feel responsible for trying to get it full.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of time and effort in this project, and I want it to be successful, and I want it to be successful as soon as possible, so.
All right, Eddie. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Yes.
We'll take a 5-minute break. Maybe find Dave early.